your self-care first brain science-based productivity and time management expert. I know that's a mouthful, but I think it's so important to say self-care first because how can you get anything done if you're not taking care of yourself? Or if you're being productive while not taking care of yourself, you're just kind of, burning the candles at both ends and eventually you're going to burn out. So I like to always preface it, especially for you working moms out there. Self-care before productivity is so important so that you don't burn yourself out. And today's topic is a self-care topic. I'm talking about friendship. I know friends might not be a common self-care topic. Usually we're talking about like meditation and exercise and skincare or whatever. But mental and emotional well-being is very much a component of having friends. And so that's why I wanted to talk about friendship today with a friend of mine, Natascha. Hey.
Hi. Hey. Hi.
Yeah, so
I
for those
love
of
the
you
idea of,
who've watched the podcast for a long time, you've seen Natascha many, many times before. She's actually part of what helped to kick off Beyond Your Wildest Dreams and all of this. So I'm so grateful to have her here. And I like to start every podcast, right, with pulling a card
ooh,
from this
yes.
little deck of positive chaos. Now, I've added something to the deck for those of you who have eagle eyes. I got this funny tag at a conference. It says, I plan, therefore I am. And usually, if you've seen me talk about my planner before, usually these types of things I would paste into my planner as like a memory. But it was
Mm-hmm.
so on point and hilarious that I had to find somewhere else to put it. So I put it on the side of this
I love
box
that. I
so I could
love
see it
that.
every day.
I
Okay, so
plan,
let's
therefore I
see.
am. Yeah.
Yes, I plan, therefore. I was like, why is this at it wasn't a planning conference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take
Interesting.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
That's
one of these
on
conferences
brand.
where they have a wall that's like 12 feet wide and 6 feet tall of ribbons.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's like it said like foodie and traveler, wanderlust, like it said everything like 10 different ways. It was really cool. So when I saw this one, I was like, yes. Okay.
yeah. On brand.
For true independence, you have to make a job, not just take a job.
Mm.
For true independence, you have to make a job, not just take a job. Jolene Godfrey. I've never heard of Jolene Godfrey.
Me
And
neither.
as always seems to happen with this deck, I have never seen this card before.
I
And
know.
I
That
have to
deck just
say,
keeps on giving. I've got one of those too because you gave it to me, and it just
yeah,
keeps on giving.
it just keeps
I've
on
yet to
giving.
find. Yeah,
Okay, does this speak to you in any way? I have to say, I'm kind of like,
I think it does to some degree because I've seen like my husband who has a job has taken a job, but he's also made that job. So
mm.
I don't know about freedom, maybe in the sense of like he really like owns. He's doing obviously his job description, but the level on which he's taking it on is
Yeah,
I think really just adds. I'm going to say adds value to his life. I don't know how much freedom, depending on how you define freedom, right?
right, right.
Maybe not free time. He still has to work 40 hours, and probably usually he works more than that a week. But yeah, I don't know. And then also just the entrepreneurial spirit that you are very much familiar with. you know,
Yes.
yeah, and that
But
is
I like the one about your husband because I saw him go through the mental transition of,
yes,
I'm not sure if this is the right place for me,
mm-hmm.
to, I've been thinking about it all wrong. And
Yes, you
now
were
this
there
is
for that.
exactly where I want to be. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I saw him go through that mental transition and it was
Yeah,
night or day. And I would say very much that he's gained a lot of independence. I mean, literal independence, I think, because he's gained so much trust with the organization that he
yeah.
gets to do things that I'm just like, okay, I've seen other roles like this, and he gets to do things
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen.
Yeah, he really, yes, he's built like such a strong the community support around it. He does have
Yeah,
a lot of freedom,
yeah,
inside of that because he's shifted his mindset around it,
right,
and it has become it also in the sense that it's not like a drag, like I have to go to
right.
work. Like
I was going to
he
say
actually,
emotional freedom,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
He went from this sucks, and this was right around maybe 8 or 9 years ago, right? When
Yeah,
he was kind of,
I would even say like 10 or 12 maybe even.
Okay,
Because
well,
he
you
really,
saw
he just,
the It
yeah.
Sucks before that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right. And
I'm sure
he's been at the job for, 20 years now.
Okay,
So there
so
was like 10 years of like, okay, but this is
mm,
like not really my thing. I'm doing this, but
right,
it's not really my thing, and then he just decided to make it his thing. you
right.
know, and he made the job, he made the job mean something different to him and take it on in a different way. And it did offer him a lot more freedom.
Yeah, and he's doing it in
Mm-hmm.
a way that is completely his own. Like there are other
Mm-hmm.
people in that same job not doing what he's doing. So, how cool. See, I'm glad you were
Yeah.
here because for once I didn't have something to say. Now, people don't know this because I never turn it over, but these cards are actually double-sided. So, I
Oh,
did peek on the back because I
bonus.
wasn't really feeling this one. I was like, maybe today's the day when I have to flip it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to read it because it's a perfect segue into our topic. The most wasted of all days is one without laughter. E. E. Cummings.
Word.
Word. Yeah, that
Word.
is me big time. I'm a very
Mm-hmm.
laughy person, which
Yes.
I think laughy people sometimes it gets mistaken for like, oh, you're not a serious person,
Uh,
which I am
yeah.
a very serious person.
That's a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't just because you're laughing doesn't mean right. Like don't mistake my kindness for
Weakness.
weakness. Yeah, exactly. Same idea.
Yeah.
Don't mistake my laughter for frivolity or whatever. Or
Well, and
maybe that's not the right
comedians
word, but
are among some of the most intellectual people you will meet
100%. Yeah. Hmm.
because they have to play with words in all these
Right.
ways.
And
And
observations that the rest of us, don't necessarily pick up on, showing
well, so
our,
speaking of observation, oh, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, showing your everyday life from a different way, different facet. And then suddenly it's hilarious,
Yeah. And now
you
you
know?
can't unsee it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like I have this joke that's been doing really well on social media. For those of you who follow, you might know that I do stand-up comedy. And I have a new joke that's been doing really well on social media, which is about, my experience being half Asian, half Latin, and I'll just do the joke so that it all makes sense because there's a, in Hawaii, there's a term for people like me. It's hapa, and that's anyone who's half Asian, half an inferior race. And here on the mainland, they divide us up further because that's what America's good at.
So good.
And they call us Wasians for white and Asian, Blasians, black and Asian. People
Hmm.
like me, Lasians, Latin and Asian, although I don't really think we need a term because it's just me and Bruno Mars. But the Wasians, there's a lot of Wasians. And in fact, there's so many of them, they have kind of their own little community like Chinatown or Little Tokyo. It's called Irvine.
LA, you'll know that that's true. That is
And now
accurate.
and now people are like, I can't unsee it. Like it's the capital of Wasia. It's like all I see are Wasians everywhere. It's like if you've heard Natasha and I talk about the reticular activating system, I have activated that in people, and now they go to Irvine and they're just like
There's like,
Wasian, 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 Wasian. So, so
word
anyway,
accurate.
so I had a really interesting observation, which is why I wanted to bring Natasha on today and talk about friendship. And the reason why the observation was I recently had two girls' trips this summer. One was with my old friends who I see every year, and you've actually seen on the podcast many times, Susan, Angela, and Christine. And then one was with some I would call newer friends. They've been friends for about 6 years. So not really newer, but like I've known some of my old girlfriends since literally I met Christine when we were in eighth grade. So is that
Yeah. So
13? 13? So that's like, oh my
yeah,
God,
eighth grade.
almost 4 decades, right? So
Yeah.
4 decades of friendship versus 6 years of friendship. And we went to the same place. And I did spend slightly more time with my older girlfriends. We were there for like 4 or 5 days or something, right? Versus the newer girlfriends, it was just 2 days. But it was such a different experience that it kind of reorganize things in my brain. And the experience was these girlfriends that I've had for decades, they're kind of more like family at that
Yes.
point,
Right.
right? Like we met at a certain point in our life, and history and the adversities we've overcome together have bonded us. But we're not those people anymore.
Right.
I'm not 13
Right.
anymore. I'm not
Right.
the other friends I met when I was 27 because I met them at the same place. So I'm not 13 anymore. I'm not 27 anymore. And so in some ways, and also too, like we've all been through different things. We have different aches and pains that we're dealing with, right? And some of them affected our away time. And so that was interesting.
Yeah.
So we had a great time. Can't wait to see them again next year. Okay. Then I went away with these friends. There were supposed to be four of us, but there were only three of us because life gets in the way. And these friends, we get together regularly to play board games and to go hiking.
Fun.
And I don't think this trip would have come around if it hadn't been the fact that usually when we play board games together, we get together on weekdays because it's just easier to schedule.
Yeah.
And so we can never play very late. We're always like, oh, we have to go home. Like,
Yeah.
it was just getting really fun. You know?
Yeah.
So I said, hey, do you want to go away for a weekend? And we'll just like board game to our heart's content.
Fun.
And so we agreed and we went. And here's the thing is these friends also like to cook and like to hike, right? Like, so it's interesting because these friends are more indicative of who I am today.
Yeah.
My vacation with my old friends, because I'm the only one who really likes to cook, I did all the cooking, they did all the cleaning, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. Like
Yeah,
division
totally.
of labor.
Sure.
But these friends, they like to cook. And so I got to enjoy delicious food that I didn't make, which is fun,
Awesome.
right?
Fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, I wasn't expecting to have, quiche and, Egyptian feta breakfast and
Ooh.
yeah. So it was such a different experience, right? Like and it was also interesting because the newer friends, we got really deep in our conversations because we don't always do that, right? Like usually it's about like playing the board games or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it was almost like this vacation bonded us. Whereas my old girlfriends were already bonded. This is just
Yeah.
us sharing space.
Yes.
So it was just such a different experience, the old friends and the new friends. And, I was thinking about how you're kind of like perfectly in the middle because you and I have known each other 11 years now. And we met because we had children the exact same age, right? Which is
Yeah.
a very common thing for moms making friends around around their children's friends, parents. And, sometimes those friendships go away because your children are at different schools or whatever. Like,
Yeah. They get older. They grow apart or whatever. Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, they
Sure.
fade. Like you're actually one of the few friends I still have from my child's, early childhood.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not that I'm not friendly with those people. It's just like,
Sure.
they've
It's
moved
just-
away or whatever. It's just too complicated.
Life
I
is
do see them
lifing.
sometimes at my comedy shows. That's kind of a fun
Oh, that's
thing
nice.
that it brings people out for, they're like, I want to see you do comedy. That's crazy.
That's fun.
So, yeah. So anyway, so like, what's your experience, especially too, because you also have a sister that you're really close to. So I wonder,
Yes. My sister is like part of that old school friend group because we went to high school together and stuff, and we had different friend groups, but as we got older, my sister would hang out with my friends more, and it just kind of melded a little bit. This old, and she is, I would say easily my, like, I know we have best friend tiers, but my sister happens to be like also my best friend as
right.
well.
She's
so
in her own tier.
She's in her own echelon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I just want to point out it's interesting, like you said, that I just want to the fact that your vacations were both in the same place with the same
Right.
activities, and that kind of like highlighted it, whereas like maybe if you because you've gone away with your old friends before,
Yes,
and
true.
anyway, but haven't really hung out overnight, like an overnight sleepover with
Right.
the new friends, right? Yeah,
No,
just
that's a great point because my old friends, none of them like board games.
yeah,
So
see, this is really, yes, your new friends speaking to the person you are now. Yeah.
exactly. It was
Hmm.
so marked that like we didn't play a single board game, and my old friends, we were together like 5 days or 6 days, right? Not even one, because they just don't like it.
Yeah.
Versus literally with my new friends, it was like eat breakfast. What board game are we playing? Eat lunch. What board game are we playing? Eat dinner. What board
That's
game are we
fun.
playing?
That's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just nonstop.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, this subject, I can't help but this old little jingle, I guess, from Brownies or Girl
Mm.
Scouts. I
Hmm.
remember, um, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. Now you can decide. Yeah,
Oh,
so that puts them in. Contrast, I guess. Like you
right.
gotta, like you're valuing one or the other. But I it is interesting. Like you have this background with these friends of yours who you've been friends with for forever. I've
Yeah.
one of my oldest friends. Like we met in kindergarten. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and then some glommed on middle school and then college, and it's kind of settled around college as the one that's the late the youngest of our friendships in that group. And there is like this background where they just know you, and I feel
Hmm.
like you get together with those friends and it's like there's a certain way you laugh with them that you don't laugh with anybody else. Like there's
Right.
just like there are things that are just like old stupid inside jokes kind of stuff that you really can.
The most wasted of all days is one without laughter. Is just making
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's just and for sure that stereotype of like, oh, it's like no time has passed, right?
Right.
And those friends are forever. And some of the challenges with that though is things like, oh, you're a different person now, like than you were, and there came a time, I would say probably like 15 years ago, with some people in that group where
Hmm.
we had to have like a kind of we had to have like a come to Jesus moment where we just
Intervention.
intervention with each other, because we were really looking at each other with these old glasses, like, oh, you're like
Mm.
this, oh, you're like
Mm.
that, and really relating to each other like we were still in high school, and
Right.
going like, okay, we've both matured, like can we take a moment to sit down and go, like, I'm going to give you a lot of space to show up differently and be a different person, like just to have this experience of recognizing that we're not putting ourselves or each other in those old boxes.
Yes.
And
Just
it
out of
can
habit, right? Because it's
just out of
so.
habit.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And just, saying, oh, well, you always did this, you always did that, whatever, not that you would say that out loud, but it's just, it's in your mind. You put them in a
Right.
box.
Right.
But there's so much comfort in just getting to just hang with these people that you've known for forever. Right.
Okay, so I'm really curious about this intervention because I think it's one of the challenges of having long-term friends is that your relationships do go through these ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them you're going through alone, and maybe you're having difficulty bringing it into the relationship. Some of them you're going through together. Like we're just not, and the friendships that survive are the ones where you do have these interventions. Like I had a friend who
Mm-hmm.
I had to write a letter to her
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise we weren't going to be able to continue being friends because there were things that needed to be said that were not being heard when we were talking. So I was like, I'm going to write you a letter. Please don't respond to this right away. Take a moment, think about this, you know. And
Yeah.
and we're friends still and
Mm-hmm.
things are better. And that's
Yeah.
what you need to do for any long-term relationship, be it familial, friends, lovers, whatever. You have to have
Mm-hmm.
these interventions. So I'm curious because it sounded like your intervention was multiple people. Is that right?
It was like it was a triangular kind of thing. So it
Oh,
was three,
triangular. There were three of
yes,
you?
those three of us. Yeah, that, we really were relating to each other. We were just if it was just two of us hanging out, this
Mm-hmm.
dynamic wouldn't show up. The three of us getting together, the
Ah,
dynamic, it would be like just like we were back in middle school. You know what I mean?
yes.
It was kind of, it was, and that's always tricky. You see with your kids hanging out, like when they were younger too, like one kid always kind of feels like they're left out and two kids kind of like, so
Right.
it was kind of like that, and the three of us had to have this conversation around, a taking a moment to step back and like recognize that all three of us have grown, matured, that kind of thing. And I have to say, it's very specific, because we grew up in New York, and there is a love language in New York where like if you I mean, like, you don't insult someone to their face in New York unless you really love them, like in a way, like where you have like a not so great maybe pet name for them, you know what I mean? So, so we're like, hey, what's up, hooker? What's up? Like, like you just kind of like rag on each other. You rag on each other, right? And that takes a form of endearment, but at that point, we were in our 40s, our early 40s, maybe. And my one friend was like, she's like, yeah, I just don't relate that way to people anymore. And she's like, and it doesn't feel good to me, when and I was like, oh yeah, okay, great. Yeah. Like just like not really even realizing that, like kind of doing these little digs and undercutting each other, which was a way that we related, and that came right out. I do not talk to my friends that I've made in the last decade that way. So that was just one of the examples.
Right. Like I can't even imagine that. So funny.
No, I mean, like, you would just rag on each other, and there's still of course, some playful jabbing and whatever else, that still goes on to some degree, but not like in this kind of really like undercutting way that we did when we were. It is a love language. Now I have to say, it's funny because all three of us at this point now live on the West Coast. So it's not how.
You're like, maybe that's not for me.
Yeah, maybe when we're back on, the Eastern seaboard, we can pick that up again. Yeah, so that was just one of the aspects that we had to just check in with. So I do feel like, that's the best, is when you get to still be this evolve, like the newer version of yourself is also like loved and accepted with that background of, that history that, is just
absolutely
irreplaceable.
Yeah, there's definitely something about being known for decades that, going back to self-care, just makes you feel supported in a way that newer friends cannot. So while newer friends, you might have more interests in common, and therefore when you're getting together, it's just like really fun and easy and light, right? Your old friends are the ones who are like, well, oh yeah, I remember when your mom did this and blah, blah, blah. And they can, help give you a much longer perspective on your life.
Yeah.
So they're both great in totally different ways.
Yeah.
But I also think that being aware of this now, like for instance, of any listener watching this, like if you're like, well, I need more fun in my life, maybe you need to make some new friends who have the exact same interests as you so that you can do these things that you like to do. Like another thing that I like to do is I love to do historical dance. Oh, yeah. And I have some friends who, it's funny because we kind of knew each other peripherally, but when I brought up this historical dance thing, they were all in. And so I've actually become closer to these families because we like to do historical dance together, and that's fun. And it's funny because we almost don't see each other the rest of the year.
Oh,
except
really?
For that. But it's like this really fun thing that we get to do together. So, if you feel like you need more just fun and laugh, going back to the B side, right? The most wasted of all days is one without laughter. If you need more laughter in your life, then look for people who share your interests now, and the person you are now, and see if that helps.
Yeah, I had an interesting confluence of these two friend groups for my 50th. I know you weren't able to make that brunch that I had, but it was, these old friends and my new LA friends, and new, some of these were, already a decade older.
You've been here a while.
Been here a minute, but people who know me from here, from LA, which, it's a different time. You're an adult and whatnot. And there was a little bit inside, like a little bit of like, not, I wasn't like, I didn't dread any of it or anything, but I was just like, oh, how is this going to go? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like my old friends are going to see a side of me that's a little bit, especially coming from New York. New York is an idea of how we are here in California, and so like, they're just like a little woo woo or something, you know what I mean? And it was all just lovely, wonderful. And I love meeting old friends of my newer friends too. I love meeting them because, they get that friend of yours, like in a deep way. And it's fun to just, it's fun to witness that. And it's also fun to just kind of like, glom onto that,
Yeah.
and just,
Yeah. And, we talked about this, I think, in a previous podcast on friendship. One of the interesting things about the friend group that I've had for decades that we get together once a year is they all started as just friends of mine.
mm-hmm.
And then I had a conference that was kind of in the middle of where they all lived. So I said to them, like, hey, do you all want to meet me there for a weekend? And,
Fun.
it was just purely
Mm-hmm.
selfish. Like, I'm in the area,
Mm-hmm.
but we all got together, got along so well, which you would think, like, if they're good friends of yours, they're probably going to like each other, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we had so much fun that we're like, hey, you want to do this again? So now, and that was about, 12, 13 years ago or whatever. So now we've kind of become our own group, even though originally they all started out as, my friends.
Yeah.
So don't
That's
be
so
afraid.
fun.
Don't be afraid to do that. Like, if the idea of going away for a weekend with a bunch of friends sounds fun, suggest the idea. It might seem weird to bring these friends together from different parts of your life, but if they're all really good friends of yours, they're probably going to like each other.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Just like that litmus test when you bring your boyfriends to meet your girlfriends and you're just like, okay, girls, what's the deal? Like you,
Yeah,
and you see
totally.
how that goes, cause yes. I mean, I could talk about, it is one of the things that absolutely fills me up, has me, is some of my most happy, most satisfying times in my life is having these moments or these weekend trips with friends. And it's a way that 100% bolsters me and it absolutely charges my batteries. So I consider hanging out with friends complete and total self-care.
Oh yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's for my mental health.
Absolutely.
I need it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, another topic Natascha and I have talked about with regards to friends is camping is such a fun way to spend time with friends. If you have never camped before in your life, if you go to my website, to my blog, there's a whole thing on camping. If you can't find it, send me a chat somewhere or send me a comment somewhere and I'll point you to it. But it's under my blog on my website. And, camping is not what most people think, at least the kind of camping Natascha and I do, which is what some people call car camping, right?
Right.
Which is we're not hiking in with a giant pack. Okay. So if that's what you're thinking, put that away. But there's so much brain science about the benefits of camping, about not being exposed to artificial light and resetting your circadian rhythms and all that. Mm-hmm. But Natascha and I have had so much fun camping together. There are some stories from our camp trips that I still revisit because they're just so hilarious.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun.
We played Two Truths and a Lie this one time. And we were talking, one of the lies my husband told was that I worked with the Navy SEALs, and her son was like, that's definitely the lie because the Navy doesn't have SEAls. Or something. And I was so like,
cute. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I see.
So cute.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So some hilarious story. And also hot tip for if you go camping, take a sheet mask with you. Natascha and I had so much fun laying out, putting a sheet mask on, looking at the stars because your skin gets super dried out because of the campfire.
Yes.
So
yes. Right.
This is a great way to moisturize your skin and also just have a moment.
Oh my gosh. That was genius. Yeah. 100%.
It was so fun. So fun. So
bring a hammock.
Yeah.
Bring a hammock.
I mean, look, we have lots of tips for that, but yeah, always a hammock. Always a hammock.
Always a hammock if you can swing it.
Thanks for joining me, Natascha. I'm just going to close it out, so I'll see you in a bit. So, thank you so much for joining me today. If you've been following me on socials, you might have been seeing that I have this free class that I'm doing called Master Your Morning. It's all about the brain science behind why mornings can feel so stressful. If you're like me, I used to feel like my morning was a train heading straight towards me, just like the stress was out through the roof. Well, there's some interesting brain science. I'm going to talk about why that happens and give you 3 strategies for overcoming it. So you can register for that at subscribepage.com/mym. I have this free class happening. I'm doing one later today. I'm doing one next Monday on the 31st. So, pick a day, come to one, come to both. I'd love to see you there. And thank you for joining me. Remember, planning makes everything